Oh, the weather outside is frightful.
But inside is so delightful.
It's Christmas in July.
Let's review.
Let's review
Let's review.
Season 7.
Bomb.
Bum.
That's right, folks. It's Christmas in July 2020, and we are talking Curb Your Enthusiasm. So believe it or not, Dragon, this is my first ever exposure to Curb.
Yeah, and again, given that Lin-Manuel Miranda season, you really
I know.
And now that I've seen Hamilton, I get more. There's really some really funny Hamilton-related jokes that I didn't get before.
Okay, what season is that?
If I'm right, well, if this season was 10, I think Miranda was 9. He was 8 or 9. I got to double check. I'll double check for you. I think he was.
I'm gonna have to go into Jacob's HBO Max account and watch that, man. I'm missing out.
Because every season has like an arc, and Manuel Miranda said he became the. He didn't start off as the arc, be like midway through he becomes the arc. I'm pretty sure. So
okay, okay.
You love it. Anyway.
I've watched Hamilton like 5 times since it dropped on Disney Plus.
Okay, the point being, so you've seen Curb for the first time. What do you think?
I mean, I can clearly see where Jess Giglett kind of gets the heightened inspiration from. This is very this clearly seems like kind of like, Larry David's life, but heightened, if you will. I liked it quite a lot. I thought it was a very off the cusp sort of format going on. I liked how there was like a loose story, but at the same time, it was more kind of a series of vignettes, with an overarching theme to it. I got to admit, I like what I saw a lot for sure. I don't know if I'm entirely caught up on the rhythm of the show just yet. But from what I've seen, it was very enjoyable. Pretty much funny from beginning to end. My God, the punchline of the whole thing is just incredible. God, I can't wait to get there. Just oh my God, just all of the Joseph stuff is just amazing. All right, so let's get started, Dragon.
Well, I mean, I should also mention, of course, my experience with Curb, real abbreviated here, is, again, I was a huge Seinfeld fan, of course, getting into the making of Seinfeld. You learn a little something about Larry David, which, of course, bled over into Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I'm head over heels for the show. I love it, and I'm always telling this guy to watch it. And also, fun fact, Poncio watches Curb Your Enthusiasm. Apparently he's a big fan. Okay. All that said, let's dive into it.
Right. So Larry David, he's at the doctor's office, Dragon. He's got a little bit of a sensitive issue, but first, he's been to a U2 concert.
Okay, so let me explain something here. It's again, believe me, you're not going to be really lost. I mean, it's pretty much what you see is what you get. But just so you know, so I love my favorite thing about Curb is that relishes in the mundanity. It's like it's an HBO version of Seinfeld of like George got a spinoff. Of course, George Costanza very much based off Larry David, as you can probably tell, but it's unfiltered, uncensored in the real world. So. Larry David, he constantly is going to, like, the doctors, different doctors, and they always have, like, mundane kind of encounters, like something happens or something goes awry. So something like this always happens when he goes to the doctor. So, so he's, that's the thing. He's exchanging pleasantries, very genuine pleasantries, and of course then leads to, hey, I heard that you went to a U2 concert, which this leads to the thing is, much as I love Curb Enthusiasm, I always feel really self-conscious because I empathize too much with Larry David.
Whoa, Jesus, a really loud firecracker just went off like right next to me. Sorry if you heard that. Yeah. But yeah. No, I kind of got the same thing, Dragon. With this episode, there were many relatable moments.
So much to Larry David's chagrin, it's like, oh god, the doctor knows. Again, the whole hierarchy in like Curb and in life is like, they always defer to the doctor when the doctor has like kind of like a really kind of human moment or conversation. It always feels like you're breaking like the social protocol. So
oh god.
So much to Larry David's chagrin, he's hearing it from the man he's coming to for knowledge here about himself. Essentially, get to this conversation that Larry David hoped to avoid because he doesn't want people knowing he went to a YouTube concert. And I've emphasized with this so much, where it's the idea that there's the conversation where it's a conversation you don't want to have, but it's like because you don't want to get into the whole thing of like, yes, I went to a concert. I don't want to have to tell you I didn't go. My wife dragged me to because they're all the minute the doctor says, yeah, I didn't picture you as a rock and roll guy. That's what you wanted
yeah.
to avoid right there. That's what I get that. Like, I didn't think he's a rock and roll guy. You want to avoid that like, oh, I have to get into the explanation. Like, no, I'm not a rock and roll guy. My wife dragged me there. It's a little embarrassing, and then he's getting then Larry David as he should. Larry David is getting to the follow up on the information. Where did you hear that from? How'd you hear about the U2 concert? The answer is assistant. Assistant called the house to confirm the appointment, and Dora, the housekeeper. Oh, he's always going through help and everything. So I'm just saying it's not like she's like a mainstay character or anything. So Dora, housekeeper, basically said, "Oh yeah, he went to a U2 concert." Basically, probably chatting up the receptionist or something. So, understandably, Larry David not crazy about the maid, the housekeeper, telling people about his goings on and his whereabouts. And I hate it when people do that with me. I'm sorry, I don't want to just make this me, but this one really hits me where I live. Whereas I hate when people I never tell them like, or when I'm out with somebody, I hate it when they say, "Oh yeah, he and I are doing this." Like, don't tell them what I'm doing. I don't want my business known by these strangers. People not crazy. I don't want that known. What are we doing?
Right, I hear you. Yeah.
Why does my excursion have to be new? And the point being,
Excursion. I like that. I like that word. Fancy terminology there, Dragon. Anyways.
So, seriously, how nice is the doctor? I like the doctor. What do you think?
Oh, he's very accommodating, especially in this particular situation.
He's a nice doctor. He says, "No, I won't tell anyone. Like, please don't tell anyone about the U2 concert." Because he wants to avoid this conversation. Oh yeah, sure, yeah. Don't worry about it. Hey, it's only between you and me. So Larry David, he has a hair caught in his throat, suffice to say, from down there after a night of romance with the old wife.
Oh boy.
Which, of course, classic Curb leads to the over explanation, which Larry David tends to do a lot. And again, later on in the third act, he does inappropriately, as he usually tends to do. But point being is that the doctor's saying it's not something he does too often, kind of reciprocating the love down south, if you will.
Uh-huh.
Which essentially, he does, like the doctor doesn't need the schedule. I don't need the schedule. I'm all good. It happens. And again, really accommodating doctor, as you said. So the doctor gives him two options. Either he removes it, which would be painful, which I imagine like tweezers or something. The point is to go in there, it probably would not be pleasant. Or you flush it out naturally. Basically, drink liquids. Just like it'll be out in like estimated 3 days if he drinks water and stuff.
I was really wanting to see the procedure of him actually pulling it out, but of course, if we had that, we wouldn't have the episode.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, he'd be complaining about a throat thing, but it wouldn't be quite the same as the runner. So, as you know, as you may or may not know, Curb Enthusiasm it improvises a whole lot. Like usually, they just write an outline for the script and they fill in the blanks. Okay. But this is a highly improvised show, so I imagine Larry Davis came up with a hack, and that's why every time he hacks, it's like him making the choice in the scene to do a hack, and I presume none of them are expecting, or at least they have no idea when to expect.
Gotcha.
So that's why he's like that, as you tend to do. Then we have the fun doctors the fun doctor saying, as they tend to be, says, "Okay, just stay away from that for a couple of days, then rock on."
Oh, God. And like you said, that's exactly the type of attitude he wanted to avoid.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. Let's see. So Cheryl's his wife, played by Cheryl Hines. Basically, everyone keeps their first names in this show, just in case you're curious. Everyone pretty much keeps their first names.
So he's kind of reiterating what the doctor told him. Basically, he's just got to flush it out. And then we've got a lot of things to do before the parents get here. Basically, a whole laundry list of tropes. We got to get the Christmas presents. We got to get the tree.
Okay, now Larry David stops in his tracks here with the tree. Because usually he does not do the tree. Of course, Larry David, a big shocker, he's Jewish.
No.
Yeah, I know. It's heady, I know. Anyway. The point being, Larry David, he doesn't like the Christmas tree. He just doesn't like it. He has a litany of really fun things. Some of them possibly improvised. It conflicts with basically conflicts with his Judaism. It conflicts with it's bad luck. Like my guy's gonna think I'm switching sides or something. I don't want that.
Cheryl's just like, I think your guy's gonna be just fine with it.
Yeah, and of course
they just like, don't you want my
Then we get into the whole I gotta flush it out, that whole runner with the hacking.
Oh yeah.
So let's see. And of course, we set up my favorite thing, the special, which is going to come in like the midpoint. Larry David, the whole tipping tradition. Basically, you tip around the holidays, but he tips around the club. So the point being, have you tip, and also around the house too. Basically, have you tipped anyone yet? So okay, so Larry's going to take on the tipping this year per the tradition. And then of course, like Larry's just kind of lamenting, oh, there's no end to this holiday, no end to it with this holiday. It'll make you feel good. She says that, and again, initially it does, it will, but then of course, classic Larry David. Not going to feel as good. Things are going to go awry. Speaking of which, one of our favorite tropes we can finally put back into effect.
Ooh.
The Scrooge!
Oh my God, you're right. Oh dear God.
Huh?
It's been a while.
But
Wow.
seriously, isn't Larry David in this special? Again, here's the thing. I feel he's a Scrooge through no fault of his own. He's not a bitter guy, but by the same token, he is the object of. It's like, what if Charlie Brown were a Scrooge? That's kind
I
of
mean,
what it
he
is.
actively hates the holidays,
He
so.
does. So I mean, you're right about that. Well, again, he hates. It's more so the Christmas side of things, but yeah, he does. He's certainly Scrooge. Yeah.
Okay.
So again, Scrooge, man, it's been a while.
It has. It has. It's nice.
All right.
God, back in the day when we used to do the fusion Scrooges.
Yeah, that was your idea. Yeah.
I know.
All right. So, as a conversation, we'll follow up conversation with Dora before he leaves, because basically he's on it the whole track of the day here. Again, so I love how just skeletal the script is for Kerber. Okay, he's gonna go tip with Jeff, so we have like a few stops along the way.
Mhm. So he's basically just kind of putting it as delicately as he can. You know, like, when I'm not here, don't tell people where I am. Just say I'm not home. That'll do. I don't want people knowing my business.
I don't want people knowing my whereabouts. You know, I don't want people knowing I went to a U2 concert, and also again he tips her as well because it's the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
He tips her. I love. Here's the thing. I love this in the direction. There's like that linger. There's just that natural linger in the scene where he tips her, and it's something realistically uncomfortable. Like, yeah, it's like not a smooth transition. We just linger on it. You know, it's like, yeah, I gave her the money, had a conversation with her, and then he leaves. So then we get to a much jollier fellow. We get to Carlos, the guard. I like Carlos.
All right, and this whole ordeal of like tipping different people different amounts of money. Oh, Drag, it's very relatable because for some reason my work, we get different Christmas bonuses, usually based on the amount of hours that we've worked. And Dragon, I gotta tell you, like, whenever conversation about how much our Christmas bonuses were, I will shut that shit down, my friend, because it is the ultimate, like, nope, don't want drama, don't want to hear about it. So, this is very relatable to me.
Oh yeah. So Carlos here, he said, again, the idea is whether it's intentional or not. Basically, Larry David he has a much better rapport with Carlos than he does Dora. It seems because Dora seems to really keep to herself, not really conversational, as we learn later on in a really painful, wonderful scene. And Carlos here, it's like, hey, Carlos, how's it going? I'm like, oh, it's it's good. And anyways, how's is the gardening good? Good. Again, just kind of Larry David dialogue right there. It's like, gardening good? Yeah, gardening's good. There's not much, but it's pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
So then he tips him, which again is a nice little bit there. Again, he says thanks and everything. And then we have, again, just Larry David always trying to ingratiate himself in a certain way. He's trying to get like a little rapport going, like a little natural. Like, you know what, Carlos? You can use the to form with me. It's the less formal version of you, essentially. When you're in conversation with someone who's steady, is like the you stranger I've just met, where to is like, okay, buddy, you're my buddy, that sort of thing. Feliz Navidad. All right.
All right, so then we get some Garland action.
Yes, Jeff Garland. Oh my, I love it. I think Garland. I forget there was some conversation about Jeff Garland. I think it was on Andrew Stanton talking about it on the Wally commentary. So I'm thinking of where I love how there's a whole generation of the Jeff Garland fans. They either know him from Daddy Daycare or Curb Your Enthusiasm, or I guess now you have Wally's the next generation going forward. That's how they know Jeff Garland. So and the Goldbergs,
yeah,
that's the new one. That's basically anyway. So we're at Jeff. So of course Jeff Garland. He plays Jeff Green, Larry David's manager, which in real life I'm pretty sure is a manager named Jeff Green. So that's kind of what that's based on. Anyway, so he's heard about the U2 concert.
Oh, God. Yeah, my wife dragged me to the concert, so big deal.
So of course these are the most highly Jeff and Larry always improvise most. If I'm a betting man, I think they probably do the most improvisation. In this case, they're improvising like the band conversation. Do you know anyone in the band? Like it's like no.
I know the lead singer. What's his name? I don't know the name.
it's Sonny. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. Well, I could give it a shot. Sonny Bono. Like, you gotta pronounce it. Like Sonny Bono. It was like Sonny Bono. But let's just call it because there was like $100 bet. You bet me $100. Like, you know what? Because you got close. Let's just call it even. Again, that's a charming dialogue like that. Again, charming improvised dialogue. It's quite nice. Good rapport. So then we have like so again after the pronunciation gag, and it's just like, how'd you find Dora? He called the house, and again Dora told him, you got to do something about that, Larry.
The frustration is just palatable here. It's just like, really, Dora, we just had this conversation. Come on now, come on.
Now, in all fairness, I don't know when that call happened, but it does not reflect well on her if it is right after he leaves, which the implication is that is what happened. So obviously not good. So, oh god, this is a lot of fun here. So it gets a okay. So we have two really wonderful heads up in this scene. So one, Larry gives Jeff a heads up. It gives him a heads up about if you come to my house, it's a ridiculous cover. If you come to my house, there's going to be a tree. Why? Because Cheryl's parents are coming and they want a tree. That's unsettling. Just having a tree and
it's not going to end there.
Not going to end there. And of course, basically the whole thing of like, it's so weird seeing couples, basically with kind of the mixed religious thing where you're going to have, we have like the mixed religious thing where you're going to have like they say like Jews with trees, especially if it's just two Jewish people with a tree. That's more unsettling to Jeff and Larry.
I can see that. I can honestly see this argument.
Larry making the point like, why do we have to horn in on their holidays? Like, why do we have to horn in on their holidays? What's with that? So then Jeff gives Larry a heads up.
Oh boy! Oh god! And this is just this is something that I have been on both ends of dragging. I have been guilty of dragging people into lies, and I have been dragged into lies myself, but it is just not fun on either side.
Yeah. Let's see. So we have basically Jeff. Basically, if Susie's coming up to the office right now, and of course Jeff kind of panics. Okay, listen. It basically gives him a cover story for a lie. This little kind of scheme and cover story for something that happened. Where basically, Jeff got a call he made a platonic. He claims platonic, and I'm inclined to believe he got a platonic call at 2 a.m. To a probably a female client or something, because he's an agent, so he to a female, so to a girl on the phone. That she doesn't know it's a girl. But the point being, who's he calling at 2 a.m.? She's suspicious, and basically Jeff's trying to circumvent. Like, it was a lady. What were you trying to basically? It's like, oh god, you're cheating on me or something. That's what he wants to avoid. A lot of conversational avoidances I can really get behind with this. Anyway, so Larry David, basically the cover story is that Larry slept over a night. Basically, she was like gone, so basically Larry stayed over at the house when this phone call came. Larry stayed over. He slept because he had a fight with Cheryl, which led to the call, and that's the cover story. Okay, Larry is all on board for it. You come up with that yourself? Like, yeah, okay, well, why no truth? There's a 10 p.m. cutoff for platonic friends. It's just it's a 10 p.m. I empathize so much with the cutoff time, because you're just like, there's a time when you call and there's a time when you don't. You don't call like all hours of the night. It's crazy.
I hear you.
Alright, so Susie enters, played by the wonderful and foul mouth Susie Essen. So I like this is the thing with Susie. She's like the Lucy to Larry David's Charlie Brown. She's always yelling at him. She's always like cursing at him and Jeff, but especially Larry. But again, there's an exchange of pleasantries before every bad encounter, which is
hey, good to see ya.
Yeah. There's a little bit of that, and then of course inevitably something goes bad. So Larry again making a choice in the scene. He does the hack. Like, he's hacking up at the hair, and it's the choice in the time. He says, well, what is that? Like, what the F is that? It's like, get some water then. So get some water. And, Larry David, he then he uses this as kind of a wonderful way. Like, he does a smooth cover story here. Like, oh, by the way, because Jeff's here, now Susie's bearing witnesses. By the way, do I owe you any money for that phone call? He says, no, you were in a bad place. It's fine. Like, oh, you sure? Like, yeah, it's my pleasure.
And then, oh man, Dragon, this is the thing. They oversold the lie. They oversold it.
Too many details.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, okay, you want to give them the details?
God, well, basically, it's like, yeah, he got Cheryl got in a fight with the housekeeper, which is gonna come back later.
Fortunately, Susie's taking all this in.
and she was threatening to quit. Larry had to call her up at 2 a.m. Because hey, she was going to come in the next day. I needed her not to quit. It was a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, she was going to leave the next night. That's why it had to be like such an urgent thing. So again, it's still while again he flew too close to the sun with the details. By the same token, the story does check out again before you look into it. That's the problem. So like one of you two a-holes are lying. We're not lying.
But it's true though.
Oh boy, so that's going to come back, as it tends. In Curb, it all karma, and like all these setups always come around wonderfully on Curb Tiki. It's a well constructed joke every episode of Curb in that respect. Everything comes back. So it's like a telltale game in comedy. So okay, then we have my favorite bits. And now, like, hey, you want to go do some tipping? So then they go to the golf club. They golf. So basically, Tiki, they don't own this golf club, but they have probably an expensive membership to a golf club, which they tend to do because they golf constantly.
Okay.
That's the whole deal. And I guess if you're a prominent celebrity, like you're like a quasi celebrity, or again Jeff Lake being an agent of many celebrities, it's like they have it's like a club status, I guess. So
Gotcha.
Anyway.
Gotcha.
So the point being, we have my favorite little trope in the whole thing, which you don't see all the time. Again, seasonal tipping, and here it's a seasonal tipping at the golf club, and it's a merry little sequence. It's like something finally going right for Larry David. It seems, so like this merry little like, they're playing the Curb music. I've always loved the score to Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's so fantastic. They use these classic cues, and sometimes they use the Mikado. They constantly use the Mikado, and I love it. So they're tipping all the waiters, the busboys, etc., and they're going around. Again, notably, all these busboys and waiters dress very similarly. That's gonna come back to haunt them. It's a thank you from one waiter. Remember this one waiter, the one who says thank you. So we the audience, I kept going back. It's like Zapruder footage. That one guy was tipped, but we only saw it once.
Oh God. Okay, I love the ambiguity in that.
We only saw it once in the anyway. So the point being,
but it is a montage. It is a montage.
It is. You're right. We didn't see everything.
Yeah.
We saw that one guy though, so we know he's not coming out of the blue. Okay, so point being, all seems to have gone well until invariably Larry David, he thinks he tipped that one waiter, the thank you waiter.
I tipped that guy twice.
Yep. Now I have a theory, by the way. My theory is what happens later. I think Larry accidentally tipped Carlos. I think he tipped him too much, and that's why his tip money is coming up short right now. I think that's.
I like that.
That's my theory.
Yeah.
There's always a little bit of ambiguity with these situations. Things like this in Curb. My theory is that he over tipped Carlos by accident, and that's what happened there. But that's my theory. That's why, again, if he's counting the money, it's come short. It had to be over tipped somewhere, but I think that's what happened.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so why didn't he say anything?
But I still love the ambiguity of this later,
right.
though, because there, of course, if you were tipped twice, especially these big, generous tips, you would do everything in your power to keep that money, man.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all about human behavior on Curb. So why didn't he say anything? Because he makes twice the money. What do you mean, why did he say anything? So we have this realistically, and again, The Office is famous for cringe comedy, but Curb is like a natural form of the cringe comedy. It's not like an engineered situation. It's like the situations you've thought about in life. At one moment in your life, you've always thought about this encounter. You've tried to avoid it at all costs, but it happens. It's like, what if it happens? So realistically and wonderfully uncomfortably, it's a wonderfully uncomfortable conversation of Larry going over to in the holiday season. It's like Christmas Eve. Remember, this is Christmas Eve. He's going over to the guy. He has a conversation. Maybe it's the 23rd, 24th. Point being, it's the eve of Christmas. A conversation about tipping him twice. I think I tipped you twice. He says, "Oh yeah, I remember you put money in my hand." I said, I said, "Oh hey, thanks, Merry Christmas," etc. And Larry David wants it back. He says, "You want your first tip back?" And I love the snide way the waiter phrased it. "You want your first tip back?"
God.
He just basically saying, "Hey, you did something. You want to be an Indian giver or something? You want to take the money back? What are you doing?" The old adage.
Right.
And of course, no. And this is wonderful. Larry David not missing a step here. No.
There was no second tip.
And again, Larry's response is you want the first tip back? No, I want my second tip back. Okay, so this this is the longest running gag in the whole series. Tiki, the Larry David look. He has his own BS detectors. That's when this running gag.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I
There's
just
like
thought it was
fun.
some kind of like stare off.
My grandfather and I, we were huge fans of Curb because I came in through Seinfeld. He came in through Curb, less Seinfeld, but more Curb on his end. So we kind of like linked up because he's watching tons of HBO. Point being, so we get a huge kick out of the Larry David look every time it happens. Like the dun 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 dun, they play the music and he's giving the he's giving the look. I'm laughing my head off. Because again, he's got a lie detector, and usually again, it's the ambiguity. You don't know if he's right or not. That's the thing. Most of the time, you don't know if he's right until like the most is like worked into the payoff. So he looks. We don't see what the payoff is, but we go. You see, he looks at the guy. Yep.
All right, so then he's walking in on a giant freaking tree, Dragon, just the biggest tree.
So we meet Cheryl's family, and they're decorating the giant tree, which again is like Larry's like, oh, it's the last thing he needs right now. So we have Cheryl's dad, who's played by Paul Dooley. Paul Dooley, he was Sarge from the Cars movies.
Oh, okay, nice.
And
nice.
He's played a judge in practice. But the other thing you're going to know him from, Tiki, he was Hank the janitor in Recess. It's this guy.
Oh wow,
Awesome, right?
Yeah, pretty eclectic voice actor there. Nice.
Anyway. So yes, good actor. Point being is we have Paul Dooley, we have like the mother, basically the in-laws, which Larry did. Is anyone really thrilled to see their in-laws? Let's be honest. So okay, So Cheryl's mom is asking if did you finish your Christmas shopping? And like, where did you get Cheryl? Get me a little nosy. Let's be honest. It's like, where did you get Cheryl? Where'd you get Cheryl?
Christmas shopping is like an obvious thing that would get Larry David upset, but we kind of just gloss over it this episode.
Yeah.
It's like there's too many other things going on. We don't need a Christmas shopping trope.
Because again, there's always a shopping thing in Curb too, like in like birthday shopping and stuff like you're getting someone up a gift, you're doing like this, and you have like you get situation anyway. So let's see. Anyway, so Larry Davis this great sardonic response to it's not maybe not sardonic, but it's a really great kind of like witty response here. It says, you know what? I got her I think we're gonna give her my grandfather's talus.
I love how they're just like so excited, like, ooh, what's a talus?
It's a scarf. It's I think it's like a handmade scarf. The point being, it's a Jewish scarf. That's essentially what a talus is. I think it's what you wear during the ceremony. It's like the white thing you wear during. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, of course they have no idea what it is because again he's basically giving him a taste, trying to give him like a little sly taste of their own medicine. It's like, ooh, is that all? That all? That's what gets me. It's like that's all. Like that's the last thing you want to hear. It's like I got her something special as far as they're concerned. Like nope, that's like that. You only get her that. Like yeah, that's it. And then he's doing the hack. He's like, and basically. Now this is genius. This is one of the best gags in the whole thing. There's a lot of great gags. This is priceless to me on the rewatch. Completely forgot about this. He's hacking and he says, "Got something caught in your throat?" And of course, we the audience know what's caught in his throat. Their daughter. This he's like grape stem, which is hilarious. Just which again tease up the big payoff, which is hysterical.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Cheryl's making cookies with her sister Becky, played by the wonderful Caitlin Olsen, from Finding Dory and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
All right, so oh god, just Dragon. This housekeeper is so frustrating to me, so very frustrating. Because I made a point to note that when he had his little talk with her, Dragon, he was, correct me if I'm wrong here, but he was trying to be polite about it, right?
Tegan, this is the struggle occurred because again I'm identifying Larry David. I don't know if I'm in the right, but I felt he was very reasonable. I felt he's like
exactly. I felt the same way. I certainly don't think he yelled at her.
No, I know he didn't yell at. We the audience saw that he didn't yell at her at the very least. Whether he was being impolite or he did not yell at her. He took her to the woodshed, but she earned that. Anyway, so basically, this is the running thing with the whole series. Well, at least Cheryl gets kind of Cheryl gets kind of like a different role as the seasons go on, but like these original like couple seasons, Cheryl's always kind of in the white. I call her like she's the wife with all the terrible ideas that gets him into all the messes he gets into, because she does have a lot of bad ideas. Maybe well intentioned, but usually she comes. You saw what happened in this episode. Her ideas do not really end up going.
Yeah.
That's like no one ever calls her on that, but I think every time I watch the show, like, what? Don't listen to Cheryl. Her ideas are terrible. It's like an ad. Anyway, so Cheryl insisted on bringing up like, hey, why aren't you wearing Dora's scarf? Says like it's itchy. I mean, she handmade it. It itches my neck. Very, very valid reason not to wear a scarf. She feels you don't care about her presence. And why did you yell at her? Like I don't want to know. I don't want her telling people where I go. Then of course name drops the U2 concert, which then gets Becky laughing. He says like, she took me again. Cheryl bad yet again. She took me. I don't want to go.
So then also she's mentioning that Carlos was tipped twice as much as she was, as Dora was. And then just Larry's she's like, he's lying, just like the waiter.
No, Dora's lying. He's still in defense of Carlos because Dora's the one saying he tipped twice. Like, why would Carlos say that? You know?
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Yeah, like she's lying, just like the waiter. The waiter, of course, he explains the whole. Like, how did you tip? Why do you keep tipping twice? Because I was going around in a circle. I forgot. It was a really nice montage. I couldn't keep track of it. It was really Of course, is she saying, "Hey, you tip? Hey, you give people money. That's fine. Don't feel bad about it." No, she's just saying, "Why are you tipping twice?" It's the criticism before it's the.
Right.
You feel good about it. All right. So the point being, Larry forgot. Then she has another bad idea. She says like, "Hey, why don't you take him to lunch? Take Dora to lunch."
Oh man, it's I don't even think it's that terrible of an idea per se.
No, it's not. But when you really think about it,
God, does it not end well?
Mm-hmm. All right, let's see. So then we have this improv bit here where it's where basically Becky's agreeing with Cheryl, and I love it. And this can't possibly be scripted. Where he's saying, you just go along with everything she says, don't you? Like, disagree with her once, just for me. Disagree. That's really cute. I thought it was funny. It's just okay, and it's a nice tree, by the way. A little sardonic compliment there, like a little backhand compliment. Nice tree, by the way. So then Larry, now this is one of those ambiguous scenes. I'm really eager to get your response to this. Like I said, Larry David confronts Carlos about telling Dora, like, how the heck does Dora find out? And this is a real question. Like, how the heck does Dora find out that Carlos was tipped twice, or at least he possibly was tipped twice, as far as we know. And of course, now Carlos said, like, he just point blank asked him, Carlos, you didn't tell her like you got tipped, like how much you got tipped. Did you? Just no. She says otherwise. Like, where did she get an idea like that? Why would she go around saying that? And then he gives him the little lie detector looking up. I believe Carlos. I believe Carlos is telling the truth.
Okay, that's interesting because I kind of lie on the opposite side of the coin.
Okay, please.
Remember when I mentioned the drama at my workplace and how I want to avoid it and how I just don't want anyone talking about the Christmas bonuses?
Yes.
I think that's what happened. I think Carlos, he didn't mean anything by it, but I think he probably did let it slip like, hey, I got a pretty good Christmas bonus this year. And, then...
So you're saying she probably asked how much, and then he told
her. No, yeah, I'm saying they probably just, had a conversation about the Christmas bonuses. And Dragon, like I said, that's exactly why whenever it comes up at work, I shut that shit down.
You know what? I didn't consider that, because, basically I was operating under the theory of, again, maybe he actually did, but without knowing it. But regardless...
I don't necessarily think he's, in the wrong to lie to Larry at this moment, and I don't think it was malicious. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think he was trying to lord it over her head or anything. I just think it was probably something that slipped out.
Sure, but that's very interesting. I didn't consider that. I think that's a good theory. Again,
like I said, I have experience with Christmas bonus drama in the workplace, so
that's a good call. Again, it's ambiguous. We'll never know, but you've given me something to think about there. So it gives him a look. So it gives him the look, and of course, again, I believe Carlos. You believe Dora. That's fine. So we go back to the golf club, and now we have. So again, now we're with essentially the apology lunch. So we're back at the club, and really using this location really well. So we're back at the golf club. Larry and Dora, and of course Larry's wearing the scarf as a show of face, which is itching him. You can kind of see he's getting a little red around or something. And basically, to me, and I could be crazy. It could be me channeling my inner Larry David here. This just looks to me like a miserable idea. We saw earlier, these two aren't really a conversational sort. And if Dora's feeling uncomfortable around Larry, especially after this bonus thing, and Larry has these two people have nothing to talk about. Dora doesn't want to go to lunch with him, as far as I can assume. Like, she doesn't want to go to lunch with him. She's doing it because he asked. And maybe for like I don't know, maybe for a meal at a nice club, maybe. But still, it's just the fact of like she doesn't want to have lunch with him. He doesn't want to have lunch with her. They don't want to have lunch with each other because again, for this very reason, they have nothing to talk to each other about.
So, Dragon, I don't even want to like recap it all because honestly, it's too cringeworthy to go through everything beat by beat.
Yeah, just Larry overall, just Larry struggles to make painful small talk about things that
he's cringeworthy in a good way, Dragon. This is the good kind of cringe humor.
Yeah. This is like the fun, like cringy stuff too. With Larry David, like he's again just him looking for like positive things about her professionalism.
But of course, he just has to bring the sponge. He's just like, oh well, if I could talk Sprink, your sponges could use a little work. Like, Larry, what are you doing?
Your sponge replacement, not so, because he's glowing about like the soy milk and the toilet paper, replace that whole anyway. So I won't delve deeper into that. The point being, it's fun. Okay. So, the waiter from before, the tip, the guy. This is a great. The waiter comes. There again. You imagine all the restaurant-related things in Curb as well. Just all these. So, waiter from before tries to take Larry's. Are you done with this? You can clearly see that he's not done with it.
Drives me fucking crazy, Dragon. Do you remember that terrible waiter story I told you?
Yeah.
Yeah. This fucking guy reminded me of that guy, even down to the way he looks a little bit, honestly. Oh God! Oh Jesus! That waiter, Jesus Christ! That was a Curb episode waiting to happen, dude. Yep. Anyways,
so then you're gonna love this, Tiki. Okay, so I did the extra mile with this scene. So basically, the waiter chats up. The waiter chats up Dora in Spanish. Larry David has no idea what's being said, and of course, clearly as the audience, you can kind of see like, okay, they're having probably a non-flattering conversation about Larry David, and of course, like he leaves. It's like, what was that about Christmas? And again, you can't get a read on this woman because she's a little all over the place, right? Because
I know exactly what it was about.
Well, I actually translated. Oh, wait, you do?
Well, I mean, I could infer because I work with a woman who mostly speaks Spanish. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the conversation, it at least had something to do with the fact that, like, he's probably, like, talking something about the tipping twice thing.
Well, well, let me tell you what was actually said. You're close. Okay, so here's the thing. So I actually, because the scene was short enough and I had subtitles, I was able to translate the Spanish. So the scene essentially, the long and short of it is like, what are you doing with the old man? Oh yeah, I clean his house. Oh, what a pity. Says not paid much. So, and then the waiter comes in with the barb here. He says like, oh, if he gets you a gift, save the receipt. Basically saying he's a cheapskate. per that tipping twice conversation. You're pretty on the money. That's exactly what it says.
Gotcha.
So the point basically like the whole Christmas and he gives it a look, and we know she's lying. So it'll look work.
Oh God.
All right, so then this is interrupted by Jeff, Susie, and their daughter Sammy. They're stopping by for lunch at the club, and then of course introduces Susie to Dora. So now like, so she interprets this as a makeup lunch, trying to smooth things over with that phone call and everything. So it's like, oh, Larry, she apologized, and like for a moment things are coming out Millhouse for Larry David. Like things for a mere moment. Take a photo of it, folks, because it ain't gonna last. As Jeff and Larry are chatting, just a random club member like Christopher, some club member guy about he was probably talking about like $20 from like a golf game or something. Anyway, so of course, as this happens, another conversation is going on, a pivotal plot conversation, as Susie is chatting with Dora, and what does she say?
He's like, I don't know why Cheryl doesn't like you.
Oh boy,
it has nothing to do with your work ethic because I've seen your house; it looks terrific.
Oh God, and that just
you could just see the look in the actress's face, like just the processing going on there, just the multiple layers of betrayal.
Yep. Then of course, let's see. So Larry and Jeff, like they're like kind of questioning the odds, like how perfect is you come in, it's Kismet, and we sell the story even more, unaware completely about how things are about to come down on both of them in the third act. Something wrong? Was it the sponge thing?
Is it the sponge thing?
All right.
Oh boy. All right. So Dragon, here we go. I mean, just whether you're Christian or Jewish or whatever, this is the most obnoxious shit right here,
I
boy.
Tiki again. This one really hit me where I live because Tiki, all I want for like the last couple of years that I just have not been able to get. I just want a nice, peaceful Christmas Eve. I've never been able to
Oh
get
God.
that. I just want, like, I'm just saying, I want to, like, I just want it to be minimized to like just like the core family members. That's all I want. I mean that and my little get together with my buddies to watch Christmas stuff. But again, like
Oh,
at most that's like 9 people at most. The point being there are no more than 9 people ever for a party as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, 10 at the most. Point
all
being
right.
small. The point being I fully feel his pain here on Christmas Eve. Yep, he's just trying to read in bed, or his point is just doing his thing. He's trying to be just being a little alone here, and of course carols on the on the piano from downstairs next to the big old Christmas tree he doesn't want in his house, and just really a little obnoxious, just like again, like
I mean, they're going nuts with it, man. They are like, there's Caroline and there's Caroline.
Mm-hmm. So yes, and of course, so singing carols, not just carols, religious carols, because apparently Cheryl's parents are very devout Christians or something like that. It's
Oh,
going to be very religious, so, like not just like jingle bells or anything. Like no, it's very like you come all ye faithful, the whole thing, which is like that's the needle in for Larry.
I love when Larry walks over to them. It's like not like they barely even take a beat. They're just like, "Oh, Larry, join us, join us."
Yep, and Larry's just like, yeah, he gets very. I admire the man so much for moments like this, and it scares me. Just like, how long is the caroling going to go on? Which I think is a fair question. He says, "Oh, no idea." Then he hacks again, like, anyway. So then Cheryl tells, okay, now Cheryl, as this tends to happen, this is the thing where essentially Cheryl kind of gets written out towards she's around, but she's around less as the show goes on. And in moments like this is like constantly through those first couple seasons where Cheryl's always mad at Larry for something that he's done during the day. She calls me, Larry, Dora quit because Susie said that I don't like her. And I asked, so logically I called Susie. And then basically the chaos ensued. And there's you see Larry go, great. Just got wrapped up in a lie. And now
And he just goes for the booze in the fridge. It's like she doesn't even have to finish her sentence. He's just like, "Oh, I know what's coming."
So again, just the miserable Christmas Eve for Larry David, and I sympathize. So, Larry David, he's then eating importantly, he's eating Christmas cookies and milk, waiting out the caroling. And again, it's not their fault that he's doing that. He was just in bed reading this book. Probably wouldn't have come down. Just saying. They brought it on themselves a little. That's my take on the situation. That's just me.
All right.
Freeze.
So we get a fade out to morning, and the family's not happy.
Cheryl ain't happy, so she's like, Larry!
What?
But this is like the Christmas Day, because it's Christmas Day during this. Like, you used to be, imagine you're woken up and said, like, hey, Merry Christmas, let's open. Like, imagine the kidding Christmas for a moment here. Like, pancakes with Santa, pancakes, like, with whipped cream and everything, like that sort of thing. Like, no Christmas like a home Christmas, this is not, my friend. So, okay, so Perry Como aside, pointing Larry Davis called down here is like giving like Larry, like what is it? Did you did you eat? Goes like basically, what did you do? Did you eat the cookies? Like yeah, I ate the cookies with some milk. Like yeah, I ate what happened to the cookies? Cookies, I ate them. That was for the manger scene. And this is the line of the episode. One of the lines of the episode. Larry, you ate a baby Jesus and his mother Mary.
Larry's just like, what? I thought they were animal cookies. Jesus Christ, not an animal.
I thought he was a monkey. It's like, I thought, like, what about the hay in it? That was like a barn, part of the zoo. Why would we make a zoo on Christmas? Which, I'll again give him credit where credit's due. That's a fair question. Like, I mean,
okay. Why would you make a zoo? But why would you have a manger with cookies?
Well, here's my question. Here's the thing no one's talking about. Okay, it's like, you know what? I get that they're upset, but you know what? They're cookies. They're made to be eaten. What do you
Yeah,
mad
exactly.
I
Come
mean,
on now.
maybe you want them to last the day, but again, they're eaten on Christmas Eve. What more do you want? So they're not there. Okay, they're gonna get eaten anyway. Why are we making such a big fuss about it? And you guys are leaving for half the day anyway. What does it matter?
You just swallowed our Lord and Savior.
So
I'll
again,
make it up. I'll go get another major scene.
So the charming thing about Larry David, the concept thing, he's like a master apologist. Now he truly does want to make apologies and try to get people back on his side after he kind of screws them up, like they're doing what he does through no fault of his own in some cases. He's like, I'll make it up to you. It's like, oh, I'll get you another manger. There's nothing open. It's Christmas, which I love. Just so blandly, it's Christmas. Just like. So let's see. So they're all visiting one of the cousins. So they leave, and he goes like, "You should look into that again." Probably an improvised line. So Larry David, in our third act, he is driving on Christmas Day to find a manger of some variety, whether it be like a fake like manger on a lawn or like another cookie one or something. The point being, he drives by, and as he's driving by, he spots his old pal Jeff. And what is happening to Jeff?
He's getting kicked out. But like you said, Dragon, the she's going off on Jeff, but she's mostly going off on that goddamn Larry David.
Yep, yeah, that
the four-eyed fuck.
Yep, I'll kill him.
So it's like palatable anger towards Jeff Garlin, insatiable rage towards Larry David.
Yeah, which is again, it's the Lucy Charlie Brown effect. Daggers after that guy, and of course Larry just drives off in a comedic fashion, like, okay, I'm out of here.
Oh God! And Dragon, alas, we have arrived at the star of the episode.
Yes, friend. The namesake of the episode. Yes.
Oh my God! This guy is so great.
Yeah, the manger side of this whole episode, you think they've already kind of exhausted things with the Christmas. Oh no, we're doubling down on it, folks. We're going full tilt manger. Rarely do we do manger stuff with Christmas in July. This was quite the treat. So Larry spots a manger, basically a troupe, like a manger troupe of actors or reenactors, I guess, specifically. They're church volunteers who are doing reenactments for the holiday. Of course, namesake of the episode, he talks to Joseph, who's played by David Koechner, by the way.
This guy is just... the performance is just impeccable, Dragon. It really is.
I never see David Koechner play roles like this, which is so funny. David Koechner, he's usually playing like... You remember from Anchor. Remind me, have you seen the original Anchorman?
I have, but... when it first came out, it's been over a decade.
Well, the point being, Dave Koechner usually plays kind of like loud, boisterous, kind of like either kind of wonderfully stupid, like kind of good old boy types. You know, he's kind of like a loud, boisterous sort of guy. He was in the Office. Is like there's like the bad influence on Michael Scott. Anyway, Todd Packard, if you remember that. Anyway. Point being, Dave Koechner, he's just playing. He's playing it so pleasant, so reserved until the very end, which is just like it's so wonderful to see David Koechner get to play that. So anyway, also on the Goldbergs too. He plays Jeff Garlin's friend on the Goldbergs. A little bit. I don't know why I didn't jump to that, but yeah. Okay. So at point being, these volunteer for a church. So again, very religious bunch. So that's going to be important. Mm-hmm. So Larry's asking them, on a pinch, he's going for broke. Ask if they can come to his house for like 3 or 4 hours.
And then Joseph's just like, oh, well, it's Christmas.
Yeah, but they realize, well, we're on a break. We're kind of on a break actually right now. And she's like, sure. I mean, I'd like to compensate you for your time. Like, oh, sure, a donation to the church would be nice. It's like,
I like that, by the way. That's a nice little detail that the guy's not just pocketing the money, and it's also more realistic. It's like, because why would they abandon the church that they're volunteering for? Well, they got $500 for the church. So they've done their good deed for the day.
And they were on a break. Basically, the 500 is to cover like after the break. Basically,
yeah.
Stay for a couple hours. Again, everything's fair.
Uh-huh.
And again, they were out in front there for a while anyway. I think they get the full effect.
Yeah.
Okay, basically they figure out a figure. I love that Larry Davies. Again, he does have Seinfeld money in this show. So the point being, I imagine real life as well. So the point being, money is not usually an object for purposes of story here, so he's not haggling them. He's just like, how much? He just wants it to be fair, though. That's what I love about Larry David. How much? Like, what's a fair? Like, what do you think is a fair figure? Well, I mean, I put on the spot here, but like $500 and a meal.
Okay, I love the sticking point of the meal.
I hate to be a sticking point, but we need the meal too. See, I gotta
Well,
push
I
the
don't
meal.
really cook. It would have to be takeout.
Yep, and again, it's a fair point because they are doing this on their lunch break, so that
Mhm.
makes sense. So Larry then, so importantly, Larry eyes Mary. Now
Oh God.
I read into this, by the way. So here's what I read into it, because of course, remember the funny line, Larry, you ate the baby Jesus and his mother Mary. So I think I could be reading too much into this, but Larry David, he ate the Mary cookie, and he ate the hair earlier. So I think there's some.
Oh
I
dear.
think, and I
Oh,
think there's a symbolic gag. I'm not saying like literalized. I'm
I
just
hear
saying
what
that
you're saying,
I
Dragon.
see that
I
the gag is he's eyeing
yeah.
Mary, and of course, why is he eyeing Mary? Yeah, that I think we're trying to connect the two gags. I think it all comes together quite nicely, so I think it
Mhm.
worked.
All
Okay,
right.
so like put all the junk. Of course, like Larry's just like he's not intending to be like a little insulting. Like put all this junk on a trailer. You can put all this junk on a trailer or something and go to my house. Like, well, it's not junk, but sure, yes, we put it on a
Oh,
trailer and we'll
uh,
meet you there. So pleasant. It's a pleasant encounter and a pleasant solution so
yeah.
far. How could this possibly go wrong? You're
Oh
thinking in your
God.
head.
Oh, it goes so wrong so fast.
So they show up at his house rather quickly, and it's a shame we can't do. The really fun conversation. It's a shame we can't do this all year round, right? This is like, yeah, yeah. Actually, we do a passion play in Easter, and we do a
Hobo
hobo revolution.
revolutionaries for 4th of July.
God, it's just when the November equinox Larry cuts them off. Yeah, I just wanted you set up just that, like around here. I was thinking the same thing. I was just set up around here. Like, oh, we got little Jesus and everything too. Like, yeah, the whole troop. Then again, I feel so bad for Dave Keckner's character here because for Joseph here, he says, "What a nice man, good host." And again, setup, but everything's going so right
Right,
now.
right.
Oh God! Anyways, then we
And
have
you're
Larry
just
David with
thinking like,
cigar.
oh man,
Bad
Larry
insult to
David is.
injury.
um, where I thought this was going is I just thought they were just gonna like stick around and the family was gonna be too mad to come home and it was gonna all be for nothing. But no, it
Oh, rarely does that happen, my friend. There's usually like an explosive or fun payoff with these things. It's like, yeah. So, I mean, part of me was wondering with that cigar the very first time I watched it, he was going to accidentally set the manger on fire or
That's what
something.
I was thinking too. I feel like the cigar was an intentional red herring, Dragon.
Yeah, he doesn't always. He's not really a cigar guy. Like basically, if a cigar is
Uh,
offered, he might take it, but it's not like he's not.
I really feel like that was an intentional visual red herring. I
It's
really
got to
do.
be right. There has to be a red. So one thing he's thanking the group and everything, and he says, okay, there was a question about Joseph, earlier we were talking about food, and I'd like to reciprocate that. So like, what do you feel? A little Chinese, a little deli? He says, both actually, both would be nice. Like, oh, you built quite an appetite, standing around doing nothing. Yeah, more than you think. I love he's taking it strides, not really being insulted. So far, not being insulted is like. Yeah, actually, yeah, it's quite hungry. Have some orange chicken, but be careful of the peppers. No, I like the peppers. This has to be improvised. It's delightful. It's like, no, I actually like the peppers. Like, oh, you do? Joseph likes the pepper.
I have the tongue for it, yes.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so then of course Larry David's the TMI, the too much information curse.
Oh god.
And the thing with Larry David, his kryptonite as a character, his character flaw that you gotta love him for, that he always pushes just a hair too far. It's like the toolbox from Toy Story. It's like he's always pushing over. Like Buzz just could have stopped with the toolbox, but he went all the way.
Oh god.
So Larry David says, as he's doing the hacking, he's explaining the hacking, but he's just, what does he do?
I got a pubic hair stuck in my throat.
And Joseph's kind of looking at him like almost sideways. Or like, wait, I'm sorry, what?
Oh well, that's unfortunate.
So then, oh goodness, yeah, it's been here for days and everything, and
Driving me nuts, Joseph.
like we're like Joseph's trying to politely shut him down here. He says, well, I don't really
I'm
know
not
that.
interested in your personal. Oh,
Then Larry, this is where he pushes the toolbox too far.
oh dear. Oh god. Dragon, I just love how it's just like it's one comment. It's one comment that just sends the whole thing like spiraling down.
Mary, quite the bod on Mary there. It set Joseph off, and he said, like, tell me, come on, Joseph. Tell me this is where he actually.
Story between you and me. You and Mary, huh?
Yeah.
You don't feel like it every now and then?
So then, again, he pushed too far and sets Joseph off completely. He says, okay, we're leaving. Like, well, come on, Joseph. And then he basically wants Larry to take it back, and he's basically wrestling him to the ground of the manger, in a manger scene. Basically, he's like, now.
Come on, Joe. I am not going to stand for this. Don't show me.
So then he wrestles Larry to the ground. So basically now symbolically and wonderfully, Larry's like he's like the baby in the manger scene essentially, which again is cosmic punishment for being the baby in the manger.
Mary's just like, kill him, shut up,
Mary.
Mary.
Like he was complimenting Mary. It's like, hey, shut up, Mary. So then in the struggle, he then coughs up the hair.
Oh god!
But not just the hair. He coughs up. He says, like, I've coughed up the pubic hair. It's gone. Which, of course, he says this in front of, and of course, he's made this whole hacking thing very pronounced, and they're thinking it's a grape stem this whole time. Right? He looks up and like, oh, it's a miracle. As he looks, a very religious moment. He looks up, and then he said this, and he's gotten this whole scuffle, presumably in front of Cheryl and her whole family, and he gives the wave.
That's just like chef's kiss, Dragon. I mean,
Yeah.
it's perfect. It's just
Tiki, they do a chef's kiss like you wouldn't believe on this show, buddy.
it's just an unbelievably satisfying ending. It really is.
That it is. That it is.
All right, so final thoughts for this one, Dragon. I quite enjoyed it, man. I really liked it quite a bit. I think maybe I'd be just a tad more on board with it if I knew the rhythm of the show a little bit better, but hey, it gives me a reason to watch the rest of it. I mean, I'm definitely interested in checking out more if this is, just kind of the first random taste I get.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is the final thoughts for me. This is it's classic Curb in how can Larry David screw up the holidays again? As it's the HBO kind of, it's like an HBO version of a Charlie Brown situation around the holidays for Larry David, which is like, how can he how get over? It's like we've inversed the tree thing though. What if instead like not get he doesn't get a tree at all versus like he gets a big tree though? That's the difference. It's like it's a giant tree instead of a little puny Charlie Brown tree. So it's absurd yet grounded. It's very funny. I'll admit, look, I mean, I think I love one of my favorite Curb episodes of all time is actually one episode after this. It's the finale. They always do 10 episodes, and this was the penultimate episode. One of my all-time favorite episodes is the finale, which they always knock out of the ballpark with the finales. Point being, so I won't say this is the finest of. I won't say this is Curb's finest, but it's very fitting for the holidays. It's still good. It cuts the mustard really well, and it's quite fun.
All right, so let's get into some tropes, Dragon.
Yes. Okay. Holiday tipping.
Holiday tipping, yes. We mention Christmas shopping. We don't see Christmas shopping, but we mention it.
I know we didn't really, we didn't do like a full Hanukkah thing, but we did Refrigerator Day. We haven't done it, but we do mention kind of the Jewish side of the holiday there, so it's kind of a gimme.
Giant trees and decorating, in-laws around the Christmas time.
But Larry as the unintentional Scrooge.
Yes. I'm going to throw this one out there, Dragon. I think the pubic hair situation is a little bit of an inverse on the medical emergency around the holidays.
There you go. Oh, yeah, it's the deflated urgent one. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned the manger, right? So the manger as a whole.
Yeah,
and the reenactment. So there's that. Oh, cookies, Christmas cookies.
Oh yeah.
Very, very little.
Carols.
Yeah, carols. Yes. Let's see. I think that's okay. We've gone around. And decorating the tree because we saw them decorate the tree. We didn't really cover this gag. It was basically like the family's just like hanging bulbs and everything on the tree when they meet each other. So there's a little bit of that too. It's like the decoration of the tree. So. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but Tiki, my God, Tiki. I mean, this was such a boatload of fun talking about Curb, but you know what, man? I gotta stop myself here because you'd think after all this time we'd have like a nice phrase, like we're no improvisational geniuses, man. I mean, we got nothing, nothing. The hamster wheel's going, no hamster on the wheel, man. We're just waiting here. It's like I just wish we could put these tropes as we've just recounted into kind of like into a box, into a turn of phrase, into like a patented phrase that is like something in copyright, vague copyright. So you want to be an Imagineer, something really kind of roll off the tongue, something catchy, something maybe something involving mistletoe, maybe something you look through to talk about the mistletoe, like a microphone or something. Maybe it begins with
microphone.
Yeah, micro something. I mean,
Microcosm, micro
maybe.
machines,
Yeah.
microscope, putting the mistletoe under the microscope, Dragon.
Oh my God, Tiki, you're an improvisational genius. This is brilliant. Yes, let's make this a thing.
This is not a thing.
Let's do the opposite of that. Yeah.
Next time on Christmas in July.
La 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 la.